It's a party now!
Well, we are on trial watch. There are several trials that are ongoing. We have the MindGeek visa trial, which a lawsuit that is going on. We also have the Mercedes Carrera trial, which is slated now for February 27th. We hope that still is ongoing and doesn't get delayed again. We have the Tammy Sunny Stitch trial, which should be starting up soon as well. We'll be monitoring that. But in a way, we are really truly finalizing this trial. But in a way, it's not finalizing. It's, I would have to say, put aside. And it's a shame. Because, you have plaintiff and defendant that they're not going to get their day in court. And sometimes some people say, well, that's good, no justice is served. But you have to understand some things. There are laws in our Constitution that we have to abide by, and you have to realize that. If someone can't defend themselves in a court of law, a trial cannot go forward. You're innocent until proven guilty. No matter what anyone tells you in this country, Twitter is not the trial judge or any other social media platform, as it has been for many years now. And, I'm upset that the Senate subcommittee hearing on Twitter did not slam them further for censoring a lot of YouTubers and others that basically, that aren't really conservatives. They're just basically people who mentioned something and Twitter didn't like it and they were removed from it. Their accounts were either shadow banned or shut down. And what's still happening right now. It's still happening now. But one case we've been talking about is the Ron Jeremy trial. He's been found incompetent to stand trial due to a really aggressive dementia. And that's not good to have, is dementia. One thing is that when you begin to lose your mind and you don't know where you are, that's a shocker. In a way, I could say to myself, didn't have dementia, but the minor stroke that I had and the way it was described to me is that I felt I was unconscious. And from what I understand, I wasn't unconscious. I was awake, alert, but I wasn't myself. And that's kind of scary because when I did finally awake, they had me drugged up and they almost had me into a mental hospital. Thank God I woke up at that point. But what has happened to Ron is, and we said this in the last video, is that we're waiting for the judge to confirm this, that they were going to commit Ron. So out of XBiz, Ron Jeremy committed to state mental hospital. Ron Jeremy has been committed to the state mental hospital after being found incompetent to stand trial, a Los Angeles District Attorney spokesman reported today. DA spokesman Greg Rising, who has not replied to XBiz's questions after the judge decision last month, told Reuters that the next hearing on Jeremy's progress is scheduled for May 8th and that he can be held up to 2 years. Jeremy's main attorney, Stuart Goldfarb, did not respond to Reuters' request for comment. As XBiz reported, the judge presiding over the trial ruled on January 17th that the former adult performer and media personality was not competent to be tried for multiple counts of sexual assault and alleged against him. Judge Robert S. Harrison considered the two medical reports by the defense and the prosecution, which agreed that Jeremy suffers from an acute neurocognitive decline and cannot be tried for alleged sex crimes. Jeremy has been awaiting trial in Los Angeles, where he had remained in custody since his arrest in June of 2020. After August 2021, a grand jury indictment was returned. Jeremy pleaded not guilty to 12 counts of forcible and 7 counts of forcible oral copulation, 6 counts of sexual battery by restraint, 4 counts of sexual penetration by foreign object, 2 counts of sexual penetration of an unconscious or asleep person, 1 count each of a lewd act upon a child under the age of 14 or 15, sodomy by use of force, assault with the intent of rape. In November 2021, XBiz published a detailed account of the 21 accusations that formed the Los Angeles County District Attorney against Jeremy. It remains only a comprehensive journalistic account of the testimonies given before the grand jury. And that's correct. And the thing about it is, this was rushed. This was absolutely rushed because the district attorney knew that Ron had some sort of problem, but they didn't go forward. And they said in one of the articles that they knew something, was off, but they didn't go forward with it to investigate it. They thought it was just Ron being Ron. But this is what happens in this country, and this is what's been happening lately, and blame goes to the Me Too movement. There are those out there that are accused, and basically, there are some guilty ones out there, and they determined to burn in hell, as they said in that movie. But then there are others who are innocent, and they're just people who just want to attack certain people because either their beliefs, or they want them out of the business, or basically they just don't like them at all, or they've had a bad week and they picked on one particular person. They said, I don't like that person. And this happens. This has happened. There have been many cases out there, and you can go look it up. Everything from all the way back to the 1980s to the Tawana Brawley case, to current day, to the Johnny Depp situation. People accuse people of bad things, but then they turned up that basically those bad things never existed. Now, is Ron's situation all that truthful or false? I don't know. Unfortunately, we will never get to know that because the evidence will not see the light of day. That's the problem. We ain't going to see the plaintiff. We're not going to see the defendant. It's unknown. Now, here's the other thing is I have a lot of questions, especially the underage ones. Now, supposedly he's been accused of underage. Now, where did this happen? Did this happen at the bar? Did this happen at a adult shoot? Why was someone underage at these locations? And that's my major question. I probably will never get an answer to that. Now, you may say, well, you're blaming the person. No. I'm saying, why was there someone underage at these locations? That's all. That's all, plain and simple. We can't get an answer to that. And there were other question marks to the situation. And there were a couple of videos out there that are in question on how they talked about Ron and the way they talked about Ron. And you see some people on one end saying, Ron was a nice guy. He pushed away. I met Ron Jeremy in the 1980s. And he seemed to be a nice guy. From what I saw, and I only can attest to what I saw in the studio at the time I met him. And this is, like I said, this is back in the 80s. Seemed to be a regular guy to me. Now, that's just a conversation for maybe 15, 20 minutes that I talked with him back then. Very briefly. I mean, like I said, guy could be the devil for all it's him. But what I've seen in other videos is some similarities and some differences where some people have said, yeah, he kind of bit of a perv, but if you told him to stop, he would stop. And then there are other people who says, he was a total perv and you couldn't get him to stop. So who is in the right? We don't know. I can only attend to what I've seen, but that was many years ago. And I could say people do change. All I can say is what I know. And that's the same thing with everyone down the line on both sides. And like I said, it's a shame that, this couldn't go to court. It's a shame that, that we would get the satisfaction of what is the truth to this. So let me know in the comments below your thoughts on his committal into a mental asylum. And they said, well, the most they can hold him is 2 years. He's going to be, if he has this high amount of dementia, I don't see him leaving a hospital or hospice ever again. I mean, the guy is 70s. He is in his 70s. He's at that point, in his life. Pretty rough. Some people's minds do go. I can attend to that, I've had my wife, she's had her stroke, and, some of her, she struggles with some of her thoughts sometimes, but other than that, she's perfectly, but, and she's age 65. It is rough. It's rough that you can do that. So once again, comment, subscribe, like, share, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you for tuning in, and bye-bye now.